Hello, this is Abhishekta, a fourth year student from IISAR Mohali. Today, we would be talking about climate. So, when I say climate, I do not mean to talk about Trump's climate hoax tweet. Neither I'm interested in talking about if at all Greta is an imposter or not. So, when I say climate, essentially mean to talk about this cute little planet and why I feel this is an alarming issue. The alarm's ringing. Welcome to 2020. So this is a climate clock set up in New York City recently and it has grabbed a lot of attention worldwide. So what does it exactly tries to indicate? So when I'm recording this video, it says that we have exactly 7 years, 102 days, 12 hours, 6 minutes and 8 seconds left to save this planet, and this is exactly the same time in which we would actually run out of our carbon budget. To understand the importance of this climate clock, first of all we need to understand what exactly is a feedback loop. So there is something called feedback loop that operates in nature. Sometimes we usually get feedbacks in our school or universities or in our offices. But what exactly is a feedback loop in an environment or a climate? So say for example, there is something called mutual casual interaction. So say for example, there is something called X over here and there is a Y over here. What happens is, if there is some change in X, that affects Y, and if there is some change in Y, that affects X. So this mutual effect and interdependencies is actually like this continuous loop is called a feedback loop. This ongoing process is called feedback loop. Now let us understand it with a simple example. So when plants die, so suppose the tree dies, when plants die, the dead material enriches the soil in something which is called humus. So this will die and it will become as humus. And this humus is a stable mass of organic matter which provides more and more nutrients for other plants to grow. So this helps in growing these plants. Now again, more and more plants die, more and more humus is produced, and again more and more plants die, more and more plants grow. So what exactly, so this is what is called a positive feedback loop. Now why do I say this is positive? So positive does not necessarily means that it is very beneficial to us, but positive just means that it is amplifying the effects or the results are getting magnified or amplified from the previous results. So this is how the graph for this situation would look like. So this is say biomass and this is time. So you can see the graph is quite exponential and it's growing with time. So this is how a positive feedback loop usually graph looks like. Let us talk about negative feedback loop. So negative feedback loops are often restoring in nature sometimes, and why I mean to say this is, say for example, during winters our body temperature goes down because the outer temperature is also down. What happens as a response to it, our body starts shivering, and this shiver ultimately makes our body warm. This phenomena is also known as hemostasis. The homeostasis, I think I'm not writing it correctly. So this is called homeostasis. That is, it helps us bring back to the stable temperature. So this is in some way restoring our temperature. So there are two kinds of these feedback loops in nature too. That is positive and negative loops. But the problem is, in our nature, positive loop predominates. Positive feedback loop dominates. So let us think of an example. This is one of my favorite examples to illustrate this. So let us see a permafrost. A permafrost refers to a layer of soil or rock that is frozen all years round. You can see there's a huge ice sheet in downside, and then there's soil, and then there's greenery on top of it. So you might, so these types of places are found throughout much of Alaska, Canada, and other northern countries. Okay, so this is in Alaska, Canada, and other northern countries. You might think the place with permafrost be barren, but plants can still grow in such soils. at the surface which is not frozen during warmer parts of the year. However, there may be a thick layer of permafrost underneath. So what happens exactly as the air temperature rises? So as the air temperature rises on the surface, this ultimately makes this warm, and this ice begins to thaw. Okay, so thaw means melting. This ice starts melting, and what is the problem with it? Because this ice contains lots of methane and carbon trapped inside it. So as permafrost thaws, this carbon is released into the atmosphere, and even methane is released into the atmosphere, and these are powerful greenhouse gases. What they do is ultimately make the temperature more warmer. Again, more and more warming up of the ground, and again thawing, and again warming, again thawing, again warming. This process is getting repeated again and again. So this is how an actual permafrost looks like. So this is an actual example. Now there was Amazon fire this year. Now that was also an example of positive feedback cycle. What happened was, usually there are the surface gets warmed up, and the leaf strikes, and there's forest fire. So droughts and wildfires increase in Amazon. Now more and more trees would die. Okay, so more and more trees die, and after that what happened? When they die, they release lot of CO2. Okay, so they'll release a lot of CO2. Now fewer rainforest trees means if there are less trees over here, well, that means less rain. Okay, so less rain and releasing more of CO2 makes what? Makes the temperature more warm. So temperature more warm. Okay, then again due to warm, what happens? Again forest fires, and again more trees die, and etc. And this loop continues and continues throughout. Now what is the issue? What is the main issue over here? Do you think, are there any negative feedback cycles in nature? So yes, I have a positive answer. We have such kinds of cycle in nature that can help the planet restore. But the problem is they are very, very slow as compared to our positive counterparts. So if you really like this video, I don't want you to share and like or subscribe my channel, but I want you to start thinking of ways how you can handle this crisis which is rapidly approaching us. Let us take care of the planet together, because we are part of the same family. We all are this part of the same family, and that is Earth. Let us start loving Earth. Thank you.